What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be looking at GOG.com games, GOG. These are basically PC games, and I'm just going to go over some things that you guys should definitely know so that you have a better experience when playing these games. So let's go ahead and go over to the system. Here it is. Let's go into it. So the first thing, if you look on the bottom right corner, as always, you have little icons there that kind of tell you which controllers you need for this system. Now, these are PC games, and they're mostly going to be keyboard-based. Some support controllers, some don't. And, you know, the point is, overall, you definitely want to have a keyboard for these. So don't expect to play these strictly with a controller or strictly with your control panel on an arcade machine or anything like that. These are PC games, keyboard based for the most part. All right, so with that out of the way, one of the trickier things about these is actually how you exit them. Now, I disabled the regular exit key, which is escape on a keyboard, the escape key, ESC. I disabled that because you need that for some of these games to get into different menus and stuff like that, so I did not want to make that your exit key. So to exit these games, just like the regular PC games that you have already in the other wheel and the Windows wheel, you're going to want to go through the game's built-in menu like you would if you were using a regular computer, right? So that's the first thing to know. Now, if the game does not exit through its built-in menu or you can't find the built-in menu, some of these are tricky to find, you can always do Alt F4 to exit the games. Now, that's not always going to work, but it works most of the time. And remember that if you have a keyboard like the Logitech K400, you need to hold down the FN key. You're going to find that right next to the control key on the left of the keyboard. You need to hold FN and Alt and then press F4 for it to kick you out. Now, I don't recommend you do this. I recommend you look through the menu and try to find how to exit the game, but that's in an emergency situation. You can do that. Now, worst case scenario, you can do Control-Shift-Escape, and that's going to bring up the task manager. So you do it like this, and then in here you would look for the executable of the game that you're running. So I'm going to show you that real quick by just starting a random game here. And if you just saw that little pop-up that came up before I started this game, you're going to get that with some of these games. That's just a firewall prompt. So what you want to do, if you see that, it's better if you click on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do Alt. I'm going to hold down Alt on the keyboard and then do Tab. And now it brought me here. So I'm going to go ahead and click both of these and do Allow Access. All right. If I hold down Tab again and press, if I hold down Alt again and press Tab, I can tab over different programs like this. So I'm going to tab over to the game once again. And now I'm back in the game. Now that is only something you're going to have to do the first time you start a game. So once you do that, it will never pop up again. All right. So going back to what I was telling you before, let's say, this game has the exit button right there, nice and clear. But let's say it's frozen or it's a game where you can't find the exit button. Again, last resort, you can do Control-Shift-Escape. And if you look on this Processes tab right here, you look for the executable of the game. You can arrange this by username. So arrange it so that it says user like that and not local or anything else. And then you would look for the executable of the game in here. So this game is called 8-Bit Armies. So the executable should be called something similar to that. All right, so for this game, I'm not finding the actual executable. It's probably named something else, which is the case sometimes. So for that particular one, I would do Alt F4. So let me go ahead and try that. So I'm going to hold down FN because I have the Logitech keyboard, then Alt and then F4. And that kicked me back out. So now I'm going to try another game. Let's do this one. And also be patient, guys, when you select the game. Just give it a little bit because some of them take a while to respond. And I disabled the loading screens on all of these, and also I made it so the mouse is visible because you're going to need that. So there's no loading screen for these games. That way if something pops up or any errors or anything, you can see them clearly and they're not being hidden by the loading screen. All right, so let's say this game you can find the exit or it's frozen or something like that. Again, I'm going to try to do Control-Shift-Escape. And I'm going to look in here for Run DLL. Okay, that one is the system. You don't want to quit the system one. So this one doesn't have it either, but you can see here AOW3.exe, which obviously is Age of Wonders. So you can select that, do End Task, and Process, and that would kick you out of the game. Now, worst case scenario, even if Control-Shift-Escape does not work, it does not bring up the task manager, you can also do Control-Alt-Delete and then choose Start Task Manager, and then you would do the same thing at that point. All right, let's try one more here to see if I can get the Run DLL 32 to pop up. All right, so let's do Control-Shift-Escape. And I'm going to just type R in here to look for Run DLL. And this one doesn't have it either. Okay, so I'm not having any luck here, but you guys get the point. If it has Run DLL 32 and it's under the user, then use that to quit the game. If not, look for the actual executable that matches the name of the game. So for this one is American Nightmare, and here it is, Alan Wake's American Nightmare. So you would select that and Process, and that would quit the game for you. And also there are some games where it's kind of weird the way you exit. So I'm going to show you guys an example of that. So the point of me showing you all these things is so you guys have an idea of what to look for when you're exiting these games. Like I said, most of the time, just look through the menus. There will be an exit option. Sometimes you have to wait for the cutscenes at the beginning of the game. And sometimes you have to even go into like the first option of the game. Like if it says start game, or sometimes you have to type in like a username or something that you want to create like profile for. And then in the next screen, you'll be able to exit the game. And then some games have like a creative way for you to exit. So let me show you that real quick. One of those games that ask you for that is Spelunky. So let's start that up. And these are PC games. You have a lot of them. You can just go into a simple menu and configure the controls like, however you like. But being that they're PC games, most of the time they're going to default to your arrows for movement, or your ASWD for movement, and Z and X for like fire and jump and stuff like that. So this game here, and as you can see, it's not full screen. Some of these are not going to be full screen. Some of them are going to be, whatever window size, and some of them you can press Alt Enter to go full screen. This isn't one of them, but I'll show you an example of that with another game. So this one, you're stuck with a small window like this. Now, what I was trying to show you is that this one, to exit, you actually have to make the character climb the rope. Now, of course, you can go over here with your mouse and just hit the X, but you can also just climb the rope. So Z to jump, and then you climb the rope, and then it'll quit the game. Okay, so let's look at another one. Would be Raiden 4. That one, I think, has you press F2 on the keyboard to exit. Now, again, this one is not a full screen window, so you can just take your mouse and click the X over here. But it's a good example of a game that maybe is full screen and will have you press something else besides going through menus to exit the game. So let's go ahead, hit enter here. It says press any button. I'm going to hit enter. Now let me see if Alt Tab works on this one. It doesn't, but it might have options. In the options, also check this for games that are not full screen. You can go into the game options and maybe it'll have some sort of resolution options or full screen options in there. So display, down with the arrow keys, enter to select it, or is it Z? Yep, so on this one is Z to select. And then let's see, adjust display or display type, video setting, screen mode window, there you go. So now you would switch that to full screen. And then you can select your resolution. You should be selecting 1280 by 720. Let's hit apply on that. And now you're full screen. So there you go, guys. That's another tip for you. So now let me show you what I was trying to show you before with the exit. Okay, let's go back. I'm pressing escape to go back, escape again. And see on the bottom right, it says F2 to quit the game. So remember, if you have the Logitech keyboard, you want to press FN first, then press F2. And now it asks if you want to exit. You go to yes, Z, and it kicks you out. All right, so that covers pretty much how to exit a game. Again, go through the game's menu. If it's stuck, you can't find it. You can try F4. Remember to hold down FN. Worst case scenario, Control Shift Escape or Control Alt Delete. Look for the executable and that task on that, or look for one that says run dll32.exe. All right, and next up, I was going to show you guys this game Oddworld because it has a few things that you can learn from it. So I'm not going to be able to show you with the game started because for some reason my screen capture stops working when this game launches. But one thing that you should know is that some games will crash on exit and it's intermittent. There were over 1,000 games and I narrowed it down to 300, testing every single one. And I got rid of pretty much all the ones that crashed on exit, but some are intermittent and I may have missed a few. And this game I like a lot, so I wanted to leave it. But just know that when you exit the game, this is what will happen. You'll see this here. Now you can simply use your mouse and go over to the X and click it. Now the mouse is going to not be visible on the edges, but if you kind of picture it going over the window, it will kind of appear there as you're moving it around. Or you can simply hit escape on the keyboard and then it will just kick you back here. All right, so that was one thing. The other thing is this game is actually a good example of going into the menu to select a gamepad as your controller. And it's very simple. You know, you go into the game's menu, options, controller options, whatever it is in each game, and you can change it from keyboard to joypad or gamepad or controller or whatever, and then you can use your Xbox controller to control the game. And the other thing with this game, and this will happen with some games, is it loses focus. And what that means is when you start the game, it'll either come up on the screen and then it'll go away and go back to this screen here, or it'll like have like a black screen or something and then it'll go away also. And all you have to do for that is hold Alt and then press Tab, and then you keep pressing Tab until you see the game. Let's say this window here with this, let's say this desktop window here was the game. You would highlight it like that, and then you would let go of Alt and it'll switch you back into the game. All right, so you would start the game. Maybe you see a pop-up, maybe you see something else, and then it goes to the background. Hyperspin stays in the foreground. You hold Alt, press Tab, you tab over to it, you let go of Alt, and then you would be in the game. All right, so sorry I couldn't show you that, but my screen capture stops working when I start up that game for some reason. All right, let me show you guys another tip. So some games, this is one of them, Not a Hero, are not going to start full screened. Now, I just showed you before in Raiden how you can go into the options and set it to full screen, but not all games have that. So for a game like this, you can try Alt and then you press Enter, and that's going to full screen it for you. So let's go ahead and into the game, and I'm going to exit it through the menu. By the way, a bunch of these cutscenes, like games that have cutscenes or intro screens like that, you can skip them by either pressing Escape, Enter, Spacebar, or left or right click on the mouse. Those are different ways that you can skip those scenes depending on the game. So let's go ahead down to Quit, Enter, and we're back into Hyperspin. All right, guys, and the last thing I want to point out to you is that some games will prompt you for settings prior to starting the game. So instead of when you select the game going straight into the game, you'll get a window that has different settings you can choose, like resolution and graphics card, or like the quality of the textures, stuff like that. Simple click and pick type of thing, and then there will be like an OK button or a play button after that, or something like that. I don't have any games to show you because I didn't write down any that had that. I forgot to, but just keep that in mind. And yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. So just keep all these things in mind that I said. At this point when you're playing these games, it's almost like you just have a regular PC and you're gonna have your keyboard and mouse, and a lot of them support your controllers, but you're gonna have to go into the menu and select controller. Like you do in Oddworld, for example. So you can choose that one and have a look in there so you see what I mean. But yeah, that's going to be it. I hope this video was helpful, and I will see you guys on the next one.